Today, the ad hoc committee is here in relation to the creation of the Danbury Main Street Partnership. Members of the committee, members of the ad hoc are myself, Charlie Trombetta, I'm chairman, and Fred Visconti. Don Taylor, I guess, is missing tonight. Okay. We have Dennis Halpern, Director of Planning, Robert Edwards from the Corporation Council, Mayor Mark Boughton, and Dave St-Hilaire, that is no elect.
He is available, though.
He is available. Ex officio, Paul Rotella and Ben Chinisi, and members of the public. Once again, the meeting is to take a look at establishing a commission, and I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Boughton if he could help us out on some explanations and what we plan to do or not plan to do.
Yeah, I think, Dennis, you have copies for everybody here?
I've handed out.
Everybody has a copy? Okay, this is
Got some extras.
pretty well
You've got
done.
a few, yeah, we could use a couple down here.
Yep. It's a pretty well done memo that talks a little bit about the purpose and should be no purpose and intent of the Danbury Main Street Partnership, and really just to give you a big picture kind of overview of what we're trying to do. As you know, we have a 10-year plan to end homelessness, and the implementation vehicle, the people charged with implementing that plan are the Danbury Housing Partnership, led by Mark Nolan and his team, and they've really done a really neat, creative job at getting people into housing with Vet House 1. They're working on Vet House 2. They're working on using neighborhood stabilization money to acquire housing. And so their job really is to take that plan that we developed and each month meet on it, measure how far we've completed it, and assess the outcomes of that plan, and to have global discussions about housing issues and homelessness within the city. So taking that model that's been really successful, we decided to do the same thing for the Main Street Renaissance Task Force report. As you know, we had a task force that worked for almost 2 years on a report for our Main Street. And we want to have an engaged group of people that will be responsible for implementing and helping facilitate the implementation of its recommendations, and also look at some of the issues that have been arrived out of there in the task force report, and have sort of global discussions. Obviously, the Renaissance, the Main Street Partnership, they can't pass laws or anything like that. They can make recommendations to the City Council about if we need tweaking in an ordinance or a zone change and stuff like that. But they're more there for the global view, and to have a group of people that are stakeholders, but also might be successful business people within the community that want to see a successful Main Street. And the idea here would be that they would take our plan and begin their process of working on implementation of the plan. So we have an ordinance that's been laid out for you, and Dennis and Les and Robin have done a really good job at putting that together. I think probably one of the things I might want to mention is that we want to establish a downtown revitalization overlay zone, which Dennis is currently working on right now. We'll go to the zoning commission with that fairly soon. And then we have the membership itself of what we perceive who should be on this commission. Now, we don't have any names yet because it's kind of silly to go talk to people and say, hey, you want to serve on this partnership, and we haven't got it even approved by the council. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. But these are examples of people that might be certainly really helpful and instrumental in doing this. Members of the business community, somebody who's maybe in retail sales or services, financial institutions or professional services that are located somewhere in downtown or in the Main Street corridor. Any property owners or interested residents. We actually have a pretty vibrant residential base there, and maybe there's a resident out there that would want to participate on this particular group. We have design and historic preservation professionals. Those would be people that are involved with the facades of downtown, and also the Andrea, it's the Architectural Advisory Board. We'd like to see them have some input here. People from the Special Services District, Tom Devine and his team would certainly be a good fit. We'd like to involve the Chamber of Commerce. In the past, they have always been supportive of downtown, but we want to get a little bit more linkage to our local chamber, since they're located downtown themselves, and they've expressed interest in participating. Our department, somebody from our planning and zoning department, for their expertise in how to manage their way through our processes. and of course, a representative from the Office of Economic Development. And then, they would select a chair, co-chair, just like any of our other commissions, and be operated as such. These would be public meetings, of course, handled here at City Hall. They would be taped, minutes would be produced, agendas would be produced, all of the requirements of the Freedom of Information Act would be met as far as that goes. So with that, other than that, some of the other things that are in here are some just boilerplate languages about things like conflict with state and federal statutes and things like that. So that's kind of why we're here. We'd like to get going with this project and get this commission approved and get it up and running, and then we can begin taking the next steps of the plan itself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The line of communication, we're establishing that line between City Council and the partnership itself. Is that mainly what we're doing?
We'd like to have that, Mr. Chairman. We'd like to have communications between the Mayor's Office, City Council, and this organization. I speak routinely. A member of my staff sits in on the downtown meetings, and they're available, and we have very strong communication right now. But I think one of the big things is that there's a lot of global issues that City Center either because they're so focused on a certain economic development issues that we need a larger group of people to have input on. And then, if it would be a zone change or it would be an ordinance suggestion, that would then be forwarded to the City Council for review, discussion, action, or no action, depending on the pleasure of the council.
And the commission that is set up, whoever is on the commission, 10 people, whoever, the people are chosen by the mayor's office, is that right, and approved by City Council?
Yeah, similar to our other boards and commissions. Appointment would be made by the mayor's office and then forwarded to the City Council for review and ratification of the appointment.
And once a month meetings, I assume, right?
Not necessarily.
Go ahead.
Well, not necessarily. I think initially you probably have that, but I don't, we have as you know, vast array of commissions. And some meet periodically on one extreme, and the other extreme, where you have the planning commission, they meet twice a month, sometimes even 3 times. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle. Certainly meet on call as issues arise. I don't want to say that they're going to absolutely must meet every month. I think they may meet more than 1 month. It all depends.
Can someone give me an example of what would come in front of the committee? What type of problem, or not problem, what kind of situation would the commission bring to City Council? Andre, can you help me out there?
Sure. I would say, for example, if there's some program or some grant to be applied for that would require municipality to apply for that, that would probably be something that would benefit the implementation of the recommendations from the task force, which is what I understand the charge of the partnership to be. I would think that would come before City Council. If there's ordinance changes that are incentives for downtown development, tax incentives, anything along those lines, I would think it needs to be addressed at the City Council.
So your commission would then funnel it down to us and City Council, and then...
Are you saying City Center would do that? Or
No,
commission?
the commission itself. It would meet and then, direct the questions or problems, is that right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, first the Corporation Council, this came out of your office, am I correct?
Yes.
What, if any, and I see on the back page that there's no conflict with state or federal statutes, where would we possibly run into any problem there at all?
This is kind of boilerplate language that we put in case a situation would arise. This is also in the homeless partnership ordinance that the mayor referred to earlier that this was modeled on. And it's hard to contrive of something off the top of my head, but to the extent that there were something, it would be construed not so as not to be a conflict.
And to the mayor, through the chair, that's also an area which I see is good, that there would be no funds without the approval of the City Council go through us.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't have any money right now. It's no secret, but someday we may have money, and if we do, those funds would have to be approved by the City Council, and they would be, I think, project specific. For example, maybe the commission wants to solicit a survey, a professional survey of the residents along the Main Street corridor, and they want to hire a consultant to do that, they would forward that request to you guys, and depending on where we are financially, we might or may not opt to fund that.
Now, would the partnership be following some of the guidelines? I've read this downtown report several, and it's really great. I think it's got a lot of good suggestions in it that things that need to be done in the Main Street area downtown. Will they be following some of the suggestions in here or working together?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, that's the point, is to take that report and keep our focus on the report and get it implemented, even if we have to face the implementation due to financial concerns and things like that. So that's one part of it. But there also would be a need, for example, to entertain public opinions and attitudes and ideas. Somebody may bring something to the commission about, hey, I've got this idea. Different than what Andrea does on a daily basis, because so much of her time and her organization is dedicated to basically keeping the trains running on time and making sure everybody's been touched and we're moving forward. This is a much more global perspective on Main Street. Maybe somebody on the commission might visit another Main Street to see an activity or event that they think might be of value to Danbury. So they can go outside this report. There's nothing wrong with having those conversations, but the prime objective for them is to get that report implemented and to be an advocate for that report and to be the driver behind it as we move forward.
Would something like if, I know a couple of towns or cities have like the Thursday where they kind of block off the city streets in their downtown area, would that be something we're going to? Yeah, I was thinking Florence and Stanford too. I don't know what they call it.
Those concerts, they do
Those concerts. Live, yeah. They're really good. I mean, they bring a lot of people. Is that something that the commission would take a look at as well?
Yeah, they take a look at a lot of things.
Yeah, if I could interject, Mr. Chairman, I think a lot of the focus of the commission is geared towards economic development, not so much events, and I think the commission will have to look at alternate forms of funding, maybe from private industry or other organizations to help supplement some of the projects it needs to do to get off the ground initially. It may require, looking at other similar demographics to the city of Danbury and saying, okay, what type of businesses are succeeding in that city's environment? And how do we go about recruiting that type of business to Danbury?
Okay, thank you.
If I may, Section 19C2 lists the duties of the partnership. And I would go through these quickly. It includes the following measures, 6 measures to encourage, coordinate, and monitor the revitalization of the downtown. And I want to emphasize this is not, there is a specified district and there's boundaries to it. All right, it's not some nebulous area. All right, and you have that map at the back of this report. And to do that in accordance with the vision, objectives, and recommendations of this report that the Main Street Task Force put out. Let me go over those. First, and I think this one is really important for management and for the mayor. Prepare by January of each year an annual program of recommended public and private actions necessary to implement report recommendations. January is a crucial month. It's when we start the budget process. And as somebody once said, hey, they just adopted a plan for the city. It's called a budget. Budget's crucial. You start that process in January for July implementation. And that's something that they would have to do every year. It would meet with property owners and tenants to discuss development proposals. That would be on call. Somebody wants to come in and talk with them about an issue or a proposal that they have. They would consult with public officials on proposed downtown plans, programs, regs, and public improvements for consistency with the report. Monitor downtown progress, evolving conditions and needs. And a lot of plans omit that step, but I think that's crucial. See how we're doing. Entertain and solicit public opinions, attitudes, and concerns. And then my sort of catch-all, provide leadership in all other ways necessary to make the downtown vision a reality. I want to emphasize one thing in my written report that follows that. The terms encourage, coordinate, and monitor are important, more for what they don't say than for what they do. There are many other organizations and agencies with administrative and jurisdictional responsibilities related to the downtown. It's not the intent of this ordinance to override the program of City Center Danbury or the Chamber of Commerce, to become a super zoning commission, or to usurp the powers and duties of the mayor or city council. Rather, it's to encourage these organizations and agencies to take actions recommended in the report, to provide a forum to help ensure that the many actions of others are coordinated to prevent conflicting or counterproductive actions, and to monitor future progress. Moreover, one should not assume that the partnership alone would be fully responsible for the revitalization of downtown. As the report points out, that's this report, quote, "It should be understood that implementation of the recommendations will require the ongoing assistance and cooperation of many other individuals and organizations with related skills, responsibilities, and jurisdictional authority affecting the downtown." I think that's very important to understand that, so that we don't run into jurisdictional hassles along the way, because then that does nothing to help downtown.
No, I think Mr. Elford said it very well.
May I ask a question?
Sure. Andrea?
Just,
And then I'll give you
Dennis,
back.
what do you mean by jurisdictional hassles?
Well, the zoning commission, for example, has jurisdiction in the charter to enact, and in the state regulations,
Okay.
to enact zoning amendments. It's not the job of the city council, it's not the job of the partnership.
Okay.
Okay? Let's understand who does what. Okay? The mayor has the responsibility of preparing the budget, not the partnership. Right? So this is an effort to coordinate. I think I have the three big words: encourage, coordinate, and monitor. But not power. And I think you need to understand that. Okay, it's not a separate government.
It's a facilitating entity.
Encourage, coordinate, and monitor.
Okay.
And cheerlead.
Chili.
Do that too.
Advocate.
Touch, move, and inspire.
All that.
Thank you. Again, through the chair, I just want to comment on what Dennis Elfman just said on section 19C2, number 1. When you prepare the report, it doesn't state who the report is given to. I mean, it's implied, but it doesn't state who gets that report. Is it through the mayor's office? Is it to the city council? Is it through downtown council? Who should get that report? Or do they just prepare it and keep it on the shelf?
You mean the January report?
It's implied, I mean,
No, we didn't say that, but I'm assuming it would be sent to city council.
yeah, but again, you can't assume. I think if it should state,
Yeah.
or should it go through the mayor's office and then he presents it to the council, because this is a partnership through his office.
I would suggest that it's a recommendation to city council.
So it should be wise the corporation council to state that.
Well, you
So it's
could.
clear.
Sure, you could. Understand the mayor is a member of the commission.
I'm
Well,
trying to
Okay.
read it out now through the discussion, and I'm just
Yeah.
bringing the point. Then again, through the
You know,
chair.
by the same token, they could just release it to the press, as long as it gets out.
But
This is
again,
what they're recommending.
it's again, who gets the report? Is it recommended? I mean, it's something that the committee should just at least think about.
I would think, Mr. Chairman, I also think that the people whose district covers Main Street would want a copy of that report. I certainly, if I were a city councilman, want to read through and see what the commission was up to. So,
So again, to the chair, I'm just following up on the conflict issue. The question now, I guess, currently you have a downtown council, which is a taxing district. There's a chair, vice chair, the whole yard currently. Am I correct on that?
Downtown Special Services District.
Right.
Yep.
And their mission what's their current mission? I mean,
Their current mission is a four-point approach, which consists of organization, promotion, design, and the fourth section, which is economic development. Their funds come from the taxpayers within the district.
right,
to
so
fund that.
would there be, again, city center is a byproduct of the downtown special district?
Yeah, it does business as, yeah, DSSD, Downtown Special Services District, does business
Is
as
city center.
City Center Danbury.
So the downtown district still has control over the downtown, not the partnership itself. The partnership just recommends.
It's not a question of having
I don't know
control
that
over
it's
the
control, it's
downtown.
almost administration, I think it's supporting, it's a support to, it's a support to the property owners. It's a value add to the property owners in that district, which is why they're getting taxed. At the same time, hopefully from the city's perspective, adding value in the sense that we maintain the events calendar for downtown, help with the maintenance program, and administer the holiday lighting program.
Manage the green.
Manage the green, the events on the green for the
You
nonprofit.
guys do first night too, right?
First Night's a separate entity, but we're a partner.
Understand, if you will, Ben, that the revitalization zone that we've created is not the same boundaries as city center. It's a little different, a little larger. All of city center is within it, but around the edges it extends a bit.
Okay.
All right. Secondly, an emphasis here is on the public-private partnership. While I am an ex officio member of the board of City Center, I'm not a voting member. Here we bring everybody together and we all have a vote. So it's a little different emphasis. I think City Center is primarily engaged in activities downtown. But other than from time to time making recommended actions there.
And the city center or the special service districts, who we answer to is the property owners, because that's who elected us and that's who pays us at that point in time. We've always been of the firm belief in city center, and this goes back to through Mark's administration and then through Gene's administration when he was mayor, that for real economic change to occur, it has to change in partnership more at the city level than at an office on Main Street run by property owners. We do want to be part of that process, and we think that the more communication there is between city center, the mayor's office, the common council, the chamber, the more that these entities can communicate, the more that we're going to accomplish.
So again, the map that's in here is a larger district than the actual,
City Center, yeah.
is it possible,
I'm going to draw an overlay.
That's what I was
for
going
you.
to say, if it's possible, can I get a copy of, as it relates to this map, the two districts within itself?
Yeah, we have a number of maps.
Just a simple,
We have this one. This is really based on land use, on activity, on walkability, on the very clustering together of activity in the downtown. And it has nothing to do with the zoning boundaries. There are a lot of people who talk about the CBD zoning district as the downtown. Well, that's zoning. And it goes all the way down to South Street, and I can make an argument that the corner of South and Main is not downtown, but regardless of that, it's not the same as the Main Street Historic District. There's another one.
Yeah, that's what.
And we have City Center. So we say, well, wait a minute now. Either we can take the approach of trying to bring all this together and come up with a compromise, or we can go out and take a look and say, this is really what the downtown entails. Things change over time, and that's what we've done here. Yeah.
this encompasses all those zones in one.
There are 3 zones in there. The bulk of it is CBD, but it's by no means all of that central business district. We stop once you pass Elmwood Park. We think the whole character changes once you continue south. But CBD goes all the way down to CBS. Okay.
As does the historic district too, right?
No, it doesn't. It stops right before the, what do they call it? It used to be Wall Bombs.
Scott Fountain, right?
A&P.
Yeah, the shopping, food store.
Museum.
Just after the museum. We include Tower Place, which is, I don't believe, is in City Center. So there are, and I, do you go all the way to Caramel? You don't, do you?
We're before the railroad tracks,
Yeah.
so we're on that one side.
So there are some differences, mainly around the edges, because it's if you ever had to do this, it's difficult sometimes to say, where does a downtown end? Because typically it kind of feathers out, it gets less and less, so where are you going to draw your line? So that's why we just went out and we said, look, this is where we think it stops. And that became our study area, and that became our revitalization zone. Another advantage of this, rather than making this much larger, is that here we can concentrate our effort. And hopefully, if we're successful here, that will have an effect elsewhere, around the fringes.
Thank you.
I won't say anything.
Well,
Thanks, Charlie. You could argue that downtown goes from the North Street Shopping Center to the old trolley terminal on South Street, as far as shopping and money being spent. I'm not making that argument, but from probably the average guy who lives out of town, that's all part of downtown. North Street, Main Street, South Street. You go there, you shop, get your car fixed, whatever you need to do. I think maybe what we're talking about here is the ultimate client. It looks like the client of your organization is your own organization. You guys support yourself. You guys are your own members, and you report to yourself. You don't report to us. You're not our client. I mean, us being the council. And it sounds like, from what Dennis is saying, Corporation Council, is that maybe the council would be the client of this commission. That this commission would essentially report to us at some point with this yearly report, and we would have some influence over this commission. So I think it helps me clarify something in my mind, what exactly is going on. They're sort of a client of ours. We're a client of theirs, as opposed to the revitalization district, which has nothing to do with this. Outside of some very amorphous connections. Important connections, but fairly amorphous. To me it's helpful to remember that, and this is a bit coming out of left field, that creatives, artists, musicians, and people like that have for generations revitalized static downtowns. I mean, we saw that in New York City and Soho. You see that from Boston to Northampton. And what I don't see in this group of membership, anyone from the arts community. The closest we seem to get are the design and historic preservation professionals. And those people are fairly creative, but they're not exactly starving artists. Most of them are actually professionals. They're architects, they're engineers, and people like that. And while they have connections to the artistic community, they're not going to be the ones who fertilize, create the initial fertilization of any downtown renaissance.
I think this was mainly an example, though. I think we can broaden that case because, like the mayor said, we're trying to establish a global view of the whole area and a global interpretation of what we want to do in downtown. So this is more examples or samples.
Yeah, I'm just saying if we could look at the potential of getting a representative from the actual arts community out here. I think it would be important to get that kind of input because frankly, with a lot of empty buildings on Main Street, whether they're ground floor storefronts or second and third floors, there is a potential of having artists move in and sort of recolonize those as a start. And then that brings in people from outside of town. If you want Danbury to be a destination, if you have ceded downtown shopping to the strip malls and the mall, I don't need to go to downtown to get a coat anymore. I haven't bought a coat downtown since Feinstein closed. I can go to the mall, I can go a million other places. But if you want the downtown to actually offer something that nobody else is offering, arts may play a part in that. I don't go to New Haven to buy a pair of shoes. I go to New Haven to hang out at the world's coolest bookstore, maybe see a great movie, maybe have a great meal. I'll park my car in the garage and I'll walk. I'll spend 5 or 6 or 7 hours walking around. Same thing with Northampton. I'm not going to go to Northampton to get a tie. I'm going to go to Northampton because there's stuff up there that you can't get anywhere else. It becomes in itself a destination. So if this is one of the things we're looking at with downtown Danbury, if we want people to come up from Stamford who can't get in Stamford what they can get in Danbury, it's not going to be another store selling another item of clothing or another fast food joint. It's going to be something that is unique to this area. And that generally is artistic or creative in nature. So I think it might be important to consider having, and I don't know who that would be, don't ask me, but I'm sure there would be somebody who knows somebody who could speak for the artistic community.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
And maybe in that point number 1, just include representatives of the downtown business and cultural community. Get Robbins in.
If I may, you can't write everything in one of these. But as Paul, you did get a copy of the report.
I did.
And on page 11, it talks about the need for diversity and mixed uses that can contribute to the establishment of a critical mass necessary to attract a varied group of residents and visitors, including the following. And among those, we have recreation and entertainment and parents, theaters, museums, sports complexes, art galleries, festivals, concerts. We're aware of that.
Hey, I'm just saying, maybe we could get one on the commission. That's
We're
all.
aware. I don't think they're excluded, but I want to get back to the study area because I think that's truly critical.
Before you do that, Mr. Chairman, can I just address one thing?
Sure.
Councilman Rotella said that the partnership reports to the city council, and the city council would provide direction to the partnership. And I have to tell you, that's not the intent here, and that is not the legislative intent. It's the report that we're talking about. It's an annual program of recommended public and private actions necessary to implement the report's recommendations. It's actually the other way around. The commission would be reporting out to the city council saying, we need these 5 things to happen this year, into the mayor as well, or into the planning director, into the zoning commission, for us to take that next step in implementation of this report. So I just want to be clear what that annual program of recommended public and private actions is and what its intent is. Go ahead, Dennis.
The study area is crucial. And this is how we defined it. It encompasses the core of the central business district of the city, a walkable area, and there's a whole section here about the importance of walkability for downtown revitalization, which I would highly recommend you read, because everybody who's an expert in this field agrees with that. A walkable area exemplified by concentrated development, historic buildings, and a diversity of uses, including retail stores and services, offices, banks, churches, restaurants, entertainment, public facilities, and housing. The study area also serves as a primary venue for community activities, including the summer concert series, Taste of Greater Danbury, numerous parades, and other festivities. That's how we define this. That's why we did not include South Street, because nobody walks to South Street from West Street.
Unless they're in a parade.
Okay, unless they're in a parade, or North Street shopping, or what have you. But that's how we define it. Okay, and you could probably argue till the cows come home as to exactly where the line ought to be, but that was our effort. I don't have a problem adding words and verbiage. It's understand though that as far as who should be on there, I just thought it was pretty general as it was.
You could always add, and I think the having a diverse group of people on this commission's great. It's a terrific idea. You could always add something that just says not limited to. So these are some ideas, but not limited to, and that gives you plenty of leeway to appoint somebody from the arts or somebody from the cultural community, or I mean, I'm sure that there are gonna be appointments that come forward that don't fit into necessarily any of these pigeonholes, but might have a vested interest in the success of Main Street. We should raise them and encourage them to participate.
I do want to, if I may, emphasize again, one thing that's in here when it talks about membership. We want candidates with demonstrated experience, leadership, involvement, and expertise in downtown business development, planning, and activities. We want people who can contribute. We don't want people who are going to sit there and have nothing to say. That doesn't help.
I think activities gives you plenty of leeway, you know, if it's somebody from the arts community. I think.
Oh, sure it does.
Yeah.
I'm just emphasizing the quality of people that you want.
Oh, absolutely.
You want leaders.
These are
Okay.
global people. These are
Exactly,
problem solvers.
exactly.
Right.
Gets a yes.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to make one quick item up, if I may. In looking at the map that we were discussing before, I would hope that the partnership would also look at beyond the boundaries that we have here, and mainly the southern end of the city, because we really have some need to get some stuff done that again will come in the future. I know the mayor and I have tossed a few things back and forth every once in a
We
while.
got some ideas.
Not sure.
So-
Me and Rogers Park?
No, I'm talking about street lighting and stuff like that, you know, like we've done in other areas of the city.
Yeah, there are certainly needs outside the downtown. And by the way, we do have a section here where we talk about adjacent neighborhoods and how important it is to address their needs. Because there you have a ready market of people who can walk downtown, but they want to feel safe. The sidewalks should be in good repair. Those kinds of things are important as well. But that's not the focus of this, but it is something that the partnership could consider in terms of things like neighborhood plans and that kind of thing. Goes.
Okay, yep.
I'd like to make a motion then to approve and adopt the ordinance under section 19 approve, adopt, and create the ordinance under section 19C-1 for the Danbury Main Street Partnership. Is that okay, Councilman?
Yes, you move that it be sent back to the council with that recommendation, that it be approved, adopted, and created.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, just make sure we add in the...
Public hearing.
And
For public hearing,
Yes.
but also make sure that we add in the language that we discussed relating to,
The change.
Rob, just make sure that there's
yes, I had that language.
consensus on that.
Yeah, Rob.
Okay, good.
Do you want to, on 3, design, cultural, and historic preservation?
You can do that too.
professionals, Something like
Sure.
that.
Sure, I can.
Okay, good.
I just, as long as the legislative intent here is we're not limited to people who have to fit under one of these pigeonholes. In other words, if we find...
We'll go over our limit.
Right.
Roddy's better. I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move we adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.